Hi everyone, and thank you for watching. In this video, I'm going to talk about reality and what reality is and what it isn't, and I'm going to basically just make a bunch of observations. And observations that I'm going to talk about are from the great minds, the scientists, the people that have been held on really high pedestals throughout history that they're considered to have contributed to mankind and the world through making the world a better place and making us smarter. And I'm also going to talk about it through the eyes of the mystic. These are two worlds that people don't like to tie together, the mystic and the academic world. For some reason, they feel that these two worlds don't go together. And other perspective that I'm going to talk about this through is through just a common person and common sense and just, observations. So I'm going to start with the academic stuff, the scientists. And when I say scientists, I'm just going to stick to one subject. I think it'll be best because I could go into many different directions with this. I'm not going to talk about any psychology or anything. I'm going to just stick with the great scientific minds. So I'm not going to go anywhere with this video. It's not going to take you anywhere. It's going to be a bunch of observations, and you can take it where you feel that you need to take it. So hopefully it's insightful and interesting. So let's start with the greatest mind at the end of the Piscean age. He was Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton made us understand that, or made us believe that the reality that we exist in now is an objective reality based on measurements, experiments that can validate and back up what's going on, what we observe. And he made us believe that this is a causal universe, meaning everything happens for a reason that can be measured and can be understood and can be written down in a mathematical way. And we've stuck to this paradigm for hundreds of years. And it wasn't until the late 1800s, early 1900s, when this paradigm began to become challenged. And it challenged the way we saw reality. The great mind Isaac Newton, he gave us a way to quantify this and even qualify everything and what it is and how it exists. So, it was good, it was valuable, but there's so many more layers to this, as you'll see as I go through this. So in the early 1900s, the next great mind that came about that kind of blew the world away was Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein, just like Isaac Newton, he believed in a causal universe. So he stuck with that same reality, but he added some layers to that reality. He didn't change the reality, but he added some layers to that reality. And one of the layers he added to the Newtonian reality or Newtonian paradigm was that, for example, the E equals mc squared equation, he added the layer to it that everything that exists, the whole world, universe, reality is just pure energy. And equals mc squared, that's what it means. Everything is basically pure energy. Mass is energy and energy is mass. And the fruit of that knowledge that he brought was the atomic bomb, where basically he showed the world, or it showed the world, that if you separate reality, or you separate something on an atomic level, it releases tremendous amounts of energy. There's tremendous amounts of energy holding everything together. Everything in this room right now, there's tremendous amounts of energy holding it together. And if you to separate any of this energy on a very small level, it will release it, not energy, but separate any of this matter on a really small level. There will be a huge explosion because of the energy being released from that matter. So that's what Einstein brought to the table. One of the things he brought to the table in us understanding what reality is basically another layer to what Newton talked about, and Newton probably never even thought about anything like this. Now, the other layer that Einstein brought, well, another one that I'm aware of, is it was done through his theory of relativity. And with this theory of relativity, this is actually a different reality. I don't even think this is another layer to Newton's reality. This is a whole different reality, if you ask me. He in that theory, he basically said that in one system, if that system moves fast in comparison to another system, let's say, for example, someone gets on a rocket ship that can go really, really fast. Whoever's on that rocket ship, and even the clocks on that rocket ship, they're gonna be moving and expressing themselves much slower than anyone else who's not on that rocket ship. Let's say someone's back on planet Earth, and if they were to leave and let's say move at the speed of light and come back years later, they will be much, much younger than the people on Earth that they left behind. And the whole reality changed with that. There's no other way to look at it. The whole reality changed on that. There was one reality on that spaceship, and there was another reality here. And then when they came back, they joined us in that reality, and in our reality, and the results of those realities were mixed. You had an older person, and you had a person that didn't age that much. So it's very interesting. And the irony of this is that with that theory from Einstein, that theory it wasn't causal. Like, he believed in a causal universe. He believed everything can be proven through mathematics and experiments, and if it could not be proven through mathematics and experiments, it was not real. It wasn't a reality. But the theory of relativity, I guess it can be theoretically proven, but no one can really do it. So is it really causal, as Einstein, argued that everything was causal? So then, during the time of Einstein, even going forward, we learned about a new science came about, quantum mechanics, where they began to study and observe the behavior and the atmosphere of the very, very small. So even inside of us, we are in our own reality right now, our own reality, which people would be considered objective if someone's looking at me, and it's subjective because of how me observing myself and how I feel and how I'm existing. Even in that, even inside of me and everything, and you get to the very, very small, the whole reality inside of me changes. All the rules, the physics, and how things function, all of that completely changes inside of me. So, you think like this is reality, right? But inside of me and the very, very small world inside of me, the reality completely changes. And it's nothing like the reality here that we exist, that we can measure and do experiments with. So, it gets crazier and crazier the more you look at it. And in that world, in the subatomic world, certain things change. For example, Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where he said if you measure the atoms and the very small components of that world, you basically change the result of what you measured. So what you take a picture of won't be what you took a picture of, because the act of taking that picture changes what's going on in that world, because that world works on different laws and rules and physics. Because you're taking a picture, some light comes out of the camera, and that light changes everything. And also in that world, there's other rules, such as the entanglement rule. And these aren't even rules, because they don't even know how these things work. And with that, if you have one atom or the smallest component of that world, and it separates, no matter how far apart they go from one another, they experience the same things, and they nothing change. They stay connected no matter how far apart they are from one another. They feel everything the same. They experience everything the same, and they're basically the same no matter how far apart they are or how close together they are. So that's another. No one can figure out what that means, how or even how that works. And another rule in that world, in the subatomic world, is that observation in quantum mechanics. They say that if the wave and the particle function, or that whole theory, where a particle is something that when you look at it, it's something that exists, but when you don't look at it, it's scattered. It doesn't exist, and then you look back at it, it exists again. So it only exists while you look at it, and no one understands really how that works. They call it I hope I'm not screwing it up. They call it the wave particle duality. So what they say is that everything exists. Everything exists as not existing and existing all at the same time, and it exists in all different possibilities all at the same time, or it doesn't exist all at the same time. All of this goes on all at the same time, and the only logical thing for a person to conclude on this is that we're dreaming this up. We're bringing this to life, and we're making the reality. So that's a whole other way of looking at reality. We are making reality. And even that whole theory goes down just a bunch of different rabbit holes and just branches off to when you start talking about the collective consciousness. Like, you have your own consciousness, and then you have the consciousness of everybody, and it's collected together, and we all draw from that one consciousness. And some people believe that we derive reality from that. And what's another theory from the quantum mechanics world that keep in mind, all of this stuff from the quantum mechanics world, Einstein wasn't buying any of it because none of it is causal, really. And there's nothing can be predicted through mathematics, really. So Einstein wouldn't be on board with this, or Newton. And this is way past Newton, but Einstein wouldn't be on board with a lot of this stuff. And what's another one? The double slit experiment that they did, where they this is real hard to explain and even understand. But with the double slit experiment, they talked about shining a light through two slits, and the light going through that slit, 10% of that light goes through the slit and projects on the other side, but 80 or 90% scatters all around that. And there's no set system on why it behaves that way. And even if you were to count each photon one by one, you can't predict which photon is going to land whether it's going to land on that 10% of the area of that beams. The light beams projection, or if it's going to be in the 80% that's scattered around it. There's no way to predict it. They haven't figured out how to predict it. And there's no set system. But again, that's that reality in that world. But in this world, we can make very accurate predictions on, let's say, basketball. You shoot a basketball and it hits the rim here. It's going to bounce off like this. At an angle. It's always very predictable. Or it's gonna, you shoot it, it lands here, it's gonna go through the hoop. It's gonna go through the hoop. You're gonna make it every time. Or if you shoot it too far back, close to the backboard, it'll bounce off the backboard and through the hoop. You can predict all these things over and over and over. But in the subatomic world with the light, you can't predict it like this. It's pretty much the same concept, but all the way different rules. So my whole point in talking about the whole quantum mechanics thing and those theories of quantum mechanics is to show you that in that world, the physics and the way things behave are just completely different from the way things behave here. And that world is a part of this world, this objective reality. So we got worlds within this world, realities within this reality that behave all the way differently. All right. Okay. Enough about the whole science way of looking at it, and the physics way of looking at it. Let's look at it from the perspective of just a normal, everyday person, a thinker, or even a mystic. Even this even goes into the mystic realm. Let's say we're talking about dreams. Let's talk about dreams. So with the dream, a dream has some really strange rules. No one knows the rules of dreams. We pretty much make the rules of dreams. Dreams are seen in many different ways. Some people believe that dreams are just like the electrochemical reactions in our bodies produce these thoughts in our minds as we sleep, and it's very random and it doesn't mean anything. Some people believe that. Some, especially the very scientific-minded person, they believe that. Some people believe that the dream is just a storehouse of your subconscious. Your subconscious just the contents of your subconscious just come out to play randomly, and there's no real system to it. And even some people believe that when these things come out to play from your subconscious, they're trying to solve problems and trying to give you clues about things in your life. You know, it's a whole spectrum of what people believe what a dream is. And some people, including myself, believe that dreams are portals to the spirit world or the other side or the deep, deep mind that we don't have access to, or the spirit world, that whole thing. So I believe pretty much all of the above of what I just mentioned of what a dream is. I think it's all of these things and more. But a dream, this is a whole different reality, whole different physics, whole different world. There's no rules that we know of. We pretty much make the rules. People can come to our dreams that we know. People can come to our dreams that we don't know. There could be a brand new animal. There could be a brand new building. There could be a brand new atmosphere or planet, place, thing. Everything is up in the air with the dream, I think. Or maybe it comes from somewhere. Maybe we've seen this stuff before in a past life, or it's there within us and we don't know it's within us. So, dreams are very tricky like that. And even with the dream and the reality of a dream, they could go even further. Let's say you have a person in your dream that's not you, or even if it is you, that person may have their own life somewhere else that you don't know about. That person in your dream, you think they're a figment of your dream or imagination, but they have their own life and they're just living, and you dream them up, and maybe to them they're oblivious to that you're observing them in a dream or who you are. You could be somewhat of a god figure to them because you're living inside. They are living inside of your head at that moment. And even with this whole reality thing, a lot of people believe that we're living inside of a mind. And the more I think about that, when I first heard that concept, it kind of blew me away, and I was like, I continue to think about it, and it starts to make more sense the more you look at it and the more you bring things together and analyze and compare. Now, okay, work with me here and follow me here with what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna go kind of way out there with this, but we're living inside of a mind, someone's mind. Just like I talked about a dream and what we dream about, that dream person is living inside of our mind, and they have a lot going on that we're not even aware of or even care about. But we're living inside of a mind, right? And everyone has their own mind, their own thinking. Everything is conscious on this planet. Even the tree, the car, the cement on the ground, everything is conscious. Everything is loaded with energy, and energy can be considered consciousness. Einstein brought this to our attention about energy and matter equivalence, and so everything based on that, It seems that everything is alive. Everything is aware. Everything, even things that are inanimate objects, are aware. So everything carries an energy field, and energy fields are information. Energy and information are one and the same things, and we're absorbing one another's energy field and influencing one another with one another's energy fields. Even the inanimate objects are influencing us with their energy fields. We're influencing one another with our energy fields. And you want to go on a bigger scale. You know, the planet Earth has its own energy field. And when I say energy, what I view an energy field is, I view it as thinking. So when you think, energy comes out. Like whatever goes on in my mind, it's like a light bulb shining out light. You know, maybe no one can see the light coming from my mind, but there's light coming from my mind. It's creating an energy field, and it's affecting everything around me and everyone around me. So, yeah, I was talking about the planet Earth. Now, the planet Earth's energy field is, what is the Earth? Earth is here where we live, and you know, it's physicality. Some people consider this like a prison planet. I've heard people say that. I don't agree with that, but I hear some people say that. I think it just is what it is. No matter how great or not great you perceive everything to be, it is what it is. But the energy field that comes from the earth produces trees, nature, the nourishment for us. It helps us grow. It basically provides a body for us to live in while we exist on this planet. And that's what the earth is thinking about. The earth is thinking about organic things and even inorganic things, because they're made from the earth and it's organic things. So that's the energy field in the mind of the earth. And that mind of the earth has the biggest effect on us because we get nourished from it. We grow from it and we have to move through it. And then you have the energy field of the sun. The sun animates everything that's on earth. It brings it to life and provides it the energy to grow, to flourish. You know how a plant works. When the sunshine shines onto a plant, it grows. And that's the energy field from that sun, putting those thoughts into it. And the moon is like has a balancing effect on the earth and the sun and our well-being. And it gives us it gives us that component of mental energy that it brings to us. And the rest of the planets, you think about it in terms of astrology, they send us energy all the time, and this energy influences us. We're moving through it. And these planets are energetic beings, whether it be the sun, the moon, even the earth. They have their own mind, and they have their own way of existing, and they're influencing us. And a lot of people like to look at them as like gods because their position and their purposes are so big and so great. But they're just like us. They have a job to do, and they have a big job, and their big job can easily wipe us away if they mess it up. But it's still their job, just like we have this job here, and you may consider it a small job. It's not a small job. Your job is huge, and you shouldn't consider it a small job. You should take it super seriously and do your best while you're here, no matter what your situation is. Do your best and really try and just accept and appreciate everything, no matter how tough it may be. Really get into it and play your role, play your part, no matter whether it's like what you don't agree with or you would rather be in a better situation. So understand that your position, your power is really important, and don't ever forget that. So my whole point in talking about all that is, they say we live in a mind. This is a mind, and all of our interactions, amongst one another, and the energetic interactions between the inanimate objects, the people, the things, the planets, the planet we're on, the animals, everything, they're affecting one another. It's like constructive interference. The waves in the ocean, everything makes waves, and all the waves affect one another and influence what everything does and how it moves. and it's constructive interference. And within all that constructive interference, we're conscious, and that's, from my observation, that's pretty much all we have in this existence is our consciousness. We can be conscious in so many ways. Like we live in a body, but what it all comes down to is consciousness, and it's all about how you feel, how you think, and everything you're observing. That's what life pretty much is. Am I right? That's how I'm viewing it. It's pretty much seen through consciousness, and with these five senses that we have. And some people have more than five senses. I think we all have more than five senses, but collectively, five senses are the main senses that we use here on Earth. I guess the Earth allows us only five senses pretty much, but there's other senses that some people have better access to than others. And that changes their whole reality. They see reality in a whole different way, and in some ways, and sometimes it's advantageous. In some ways, it isn't. Some people never take advantage of really powerful abilities that they have, and I'll just go into talking about the paranormal or the psychic stuff that people can do. Sometimes, like a lot of people are very psychic, but they don't want to be labeled or ostracized or be called crazy or something, so they just try to fit in and be normal, and they don't tell anyone. And everyone can develop who they are. So if you have a talent and it's inside of you and you just keep it inside, it's not going to grow. It's not going to develop to anything. So you may have been super psychic, and when I say psychic, there's all kinds of different psychic abilities. I'm talking like, some people can move things with their mind. Some people can look back into the past. Some people can look forward into the future. Some people can see outside of this dimension. There's a whole bunch of different psychic abilities. There's a whole lot of different psychic abilities. So I was saying that some people embrace their psychic abilities, and they understand what they have. And every chance they get, when something happens, they don't run from it or ignore it. They use it, and they learn. They get better with it. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. But the more and more they work with it, the harder they try, the more they accept what they have, they begin to hit more and hit more. They become more accurate, and they eventually end up developing a whole talent that's not even that unique. It's just that they took the initiative to develop what they had and what they felt inside, and they didn't just throw it away by just wanting to fit in and not wanting to look different, or just not even wanting to have that type of responsibility, or through having that type of label on their heads. So there's a lot of things going on affecting reality, and it's a real deep hole. And I guess I'll wrap the video up by talking about objective and subjective reality. Now, a lot of people like to look at academic stuff. When you start talking about especially the physics with the mathematics and stuff, people like to consider that. Now, this is the real deal. This is real everything, because you can prove it. We got these math equations. We do the experiment. Everybody sees it. Everybody sees the same thing, and everybody agrees upon it. So this is objective. This is real. And if you say anything exists outside of this, you're crazy. So a lot of people like to look at it like that, but if you really break it down, we have a subjective reality, and subjective is how one person feels about something inside, and how one person feels is not necessarily how the next person feels. And the next person can't just look at you and tell you how you feel, or tell you what you thought, or even tell you what you saw, or what you actually experienced as reality. Objective reality is an agreement. It's a whole agreement. So we consider the subjective reality to be fake or not real, because there's no way to prove it, because basically we don't trust each other. That's what it comes down to. We don't trust each other. And we're trained to not trust each other. And we're trained to not trust ourselves. That's the even crazy part. We're trained to not even trust ourselves. So the subjective reality is considered a false reality. But in order to have an objective reality, we have to combine a bunch of subjective realities. And when we combine all of those subjective realities, it becomes an objective reality. And this objective reality is what we consider true. So basically, the truth is a whole bunch of lies in this case. It's a whole bunch of lies. It's a whole bunch of false things coming together, a whole bunch of different perceptions coming together that are considered false, and then we accept them as truth because there's power in numbers. So yeah, that's my video on reality and what reality is. And I'm not even going anywhere and try to come to any conclusions about this. I just want to throw a lot of stuff at you. I could have went down a whole bunch of other different pathways, but I just came at you with pathways that were just easily accessible in my mind to talk about and just kind of burst your mind wide open on, you know, this whole reality thing. And I guess what I would like for you to gain from this is to understand that, you know, they say, it's a cliche thing to say, sky's the limit. Like, you can be anything you want to be, or your mind can go anywhere, you can be anything. And you know, they say you can walk through a wall if you phase shift your energy. If you knew how to phase shift your energy to the same frequency of that wall, you could actually walk through a wall. Is that possible? I haven't seen anybody do it. I ain't gonna even say it's impossible. I haven't seen anyone do it. No one has taught me, and perhaps I'll learn in the future. So I'm not Xing it out. All the possibilities are open, and that's what I would like for you to take from this video. Keep your mind wide open on all of the possibilities. You know, they say the first step to becoming something or learning something or even recovering something is acknowledging it as something real. If you don't acknowledge something as real or true, you won't give it any of its due diligence, time, and put the energy into it and develop it. And it goes back, I talked about the whole psychic thing, and people who have a talent and they just all the way miss it because they never acknowledge it and they never put the work in and put the time. And as you know, keep your mind wide open. That's the whole idea of this. Keep your mind wide open. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope it was at the very least entertaining. I would love to talk more about this topic in a more organized fashion. There's so many parts to break down, and I just went all over the place and just kind of vomited information. But I think it was necessary to do that in order to talk about some more organized and sophisticated topics that you could really just take and compartmentalize and learn something that's tangible and applicable to your existence, your life, your incarnation. So I love you all. You take care of yourself, and until next time, I'm gone.